Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me tonight. I am Atanya Jean Funny, your audacious advocate. I use my love for learning and passion for community engagement to empower families. I am also a candidate running for Commissioner, Clayton County, District 3. Now, we are well aware that this month, the month of October, is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But did you all also know that this month is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month? And while we like to put on our pink and support our fellow breast cancer survivors, and we all have someone in our family, my aunt is one of those. We um, we definitely need to have this conversation about domestic violence too. And so I have reached out to the courageous Miss Veda Brown, who has an organization that works with women who are in this situation. And I have brought her on today to share her story and to also engage us in all aspects of this issue, because I understand that it is a very complicated one. So without further ado, let me bring on Miss Brown. Hello there.
Hello, how are you this evening?
I'm well. I'm well. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Thanks for asking, and thanks for the opportunity to bring me on to share about the impact of domestic violence.
Thank you for joining me. So, you know what? I'm going to give you the stage and allow you to just introduce yourself and tell our viewers about your story. And then I'll come back with some questions as we go along in our conversation.
Okay, that'll be great. Again, my name is Veda Brown. I am the founder and executive director of the Sisters Empowerment Network Incorporated. Our organization is based in Clayton County, Georgia, and we have been in business advocating for victims and survivors of domestic violence for over 20 years. My story is as many. We've had situations and occurrences that has happened in our lives that compelled us to do what we do, uh, moving into adulthood and just the whole image of making things happen based on our backstory. And my backstory includes wanting to make an impact and a change for women with children. My experience with DV uh, surfaced from my childhood. My father was abusive, and at that time, uh, I don't think it was identified as domestic violence. But what I do remember is that some of the things that happened in our home uh, was abusive behaviors that we didn't understand. And my mother was very courageous woman, and she did what she had to do to get us out of that relationship, move us into another home, and we build our lives from there. But as growing into an adult, I wanted to become an advocate and an agent for change. And so it brings me to uh, 2006, where I incorporated domestic violence awareness uh, organization, Sisters Empowerment Network. And we've been in existence ever since. I act as the executive director. I am committed to bringing awareness to the devastating impact of domestic violence, as well as giving a platform for healthy relationships. So this evening, I am excited to talk about domestic violence and share with you what we can to hopefully empower you to help yourself or your family members or friends that may be going through an abusive relationship.
Thank you so much for that. And what you said here, I think we need to touch on it a little bit more. First, I want to say hello to Miss Nancy. She said, "Hello, Miss Veda Brown. Love, love, love." Hustle, Miss Veda Brown. And Siobhan also said, "Good evening." Um, one of the things that you touched on is, I guess we call it, some people may call it generational curses, right?
Yes.
Or they say, you know, it makes it's almost like if you there's a possibility that if you grow up seeing it, that you may think it's normal. So you said your mother was courageous enough to get you and your siblings out of that situation because what did you ever talk to her about what was her mindset to know that she needed to leave that situation and not make it normal for you all?
Well, one thing that was the deciding factor for her, I saw the distress, I saw the tears, but one day my brother came home and he decided to take it upon himself to hurt my father so he wouldn't hurt our family anymore. And that was the
Mm,
deciding factor for her because she knew that that would ruin my brother's life. You know, because
yes.
if he committed the act that he was thinking about at that time, then he would probably be in jail for the remainder of his life. And that's why it's important for some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight. And that's about documentation. And so when you don't know to document
Mm,
incidents, right? So if something happens, it just
uh-huh.
seems like you are that person that committed a crime against another person when in actuality the abuse have been going on and it just was not talked about as you said nor documented.
Yeah. Yeah. So you said um when you say document, is that police documentation? How would one go about doing that?
Yes, police reports, journaling, whatever it
Okay.
is that you can talk about the abuse, taking pictures, uh, discussing it with a family member or a friend that you may trust. But without that documentation, think about it for a second. It's almost like nothing has happened. And so it becomes your word against theirs, the abuser.
Mhm.
And so that could create a situation that you may get in trouble, you may go to jail. So now they have temporary protective orders that you can file. That's very important. If you have bruises or scars from um, the abuse, document it with pictures. It's
Mhm.
important. It's very important. We've had women that it's incarcerated now because they were being abused and they acted out, but they had no documentation of the abuse other than what they said out of word of their mouths, but nothing concrete. So it's important.
Now, what does someone do if they call the police? And I was speaking to our Solicitor General, and he was stating that domestic violence calls are some of the most dangerous calls, even for our police officers to report to. So, we want to look at all aspects of it. But what if a police report, you call the police? Will they always do a police report? Or do you know like how that process operates, far as do they have to see some evidence of abuse to file a police report?
Well, you have a lot of things now. They consider when they come out on a call, they look for the primary aggressor.
Okay.
And so if they deem me being the primary aggressor, I'm the person that's going to go to jail. And so we need education and awareness for police officers that going on these calls. And again, as you said, Solicitor Brooks talked about the danger maybe sometimes associated with it, because you have to remember domestic violence is about power and control.
Power and control. Okay.
Power and control. And when the abuser feels that they're losing that power, then they may act out in a way that's very dangerous to the victim as well as anyone that's trying to help them. So I think that's what he was talking about. But we do need to bring education and awareness to the police department, because sometimes they don't understand. And that's another one of those things when we talked about documentation, because if the abuser, for example, is able to articulate a story better than the victim,
Ooh,
guess what?
Jesus.
They're going to believe them. And
Mm,
that's so unfortunate. So we have to learn. And that's one of the things that I've been advocating for years. I call it sensitivity training.
mm-hmm.
They sometimes think that's a poor choice of words, but I do not, because you have to understand that there's mind games that's going on. There's things that they're trying to paint a picture that this person is just, it's like gaslighting, you
And
know,
it's like they can be somewhat manipulative. So,
manipulative.
I mean,
Yes.
if you know what they say, you can talk a good game.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
then in a lot of cases, not all, but in a lot of cases, it's a male talking to another male.
Yes.
The police is most likely maybe a male, and then it's a male that may or may not be the more aggressor. And men have their own language
Men have their
that
own language, but let me say this, sometimes the women police officers are
really.
guilty as well. Yes, ma'am.
Oh, wow. So
Yes.
this is definitely just overall blue training.
Blue training.
Wow.
Absolutely.
And we
Absolutely.
have in there Nancy. Oh, Miss Poindexter said hello. And Nancy said, great advice. She said, personal experience. She failed to document her bruises, and it became a he said, she said situation.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I do know of one young lady that I met some time back, and it took a lot of years for her case to finally be resolved. And one of the situations that she had in her situation was the abuser using their child as a pawn
Mm-hmm.
to basically say, if you turn me in, I'm going to file for custody of our child.
Yes.
And so basically, she chose to fight anyway, but a lot of women may say, I don't want you to take my child from me, or I don't want my child to, you know, be with you, and I know you're an abuser. So have you seen those cases where the children are used as pawns to hold on to that control and power?
Yes, I have. Actually, one of my clients, and she's doing very well today. Her husband was very abusive, and he manipulated the court system and everyone involved, and she gave her children up,
Oh,
because she thought
Jesus.
that was the only thing that she could do to stop him from his raft and maybe protect the children. Nevertheless, we went to court over this matter for 4 or 5 years. But she has her children back now because we allow the court system to see this man for who he really was. And I tell women a lot of times when we react, they call us angry women. We're just, upset because of the breakup. It could be a number of things. But when you let that abuser show his true face or her
Mhm.
true face, then that's where you're going to make your strides. Those kids were they had court appointed special advocates, that's a CASA, and
Okay.
so we would engage with them, and so I was able to be instrumental to kind of talk with them and kind of help them to see, like we were talking about a little bit, the primary aggressor. So it's kind
Mhm.
of the same thing. And so I encourage any woman, and I'm talking men are abused too, but I'm talking about women because that's who our organization help. If
Mhm.
you have someone that you can trust and rely on, please reach out to them. And for you women that is a friend, please listen. Please believe her. Please educate yourself on what you can do to help. And I'm talking about from safety planning, learning about how to help file a temporary protective order. There's so many different, the importance of documentation. All of those things are key and what's going to help their case. Because, for an example, with the temporary protective order, though they may grant that order,
Mhm.
the abuser is going to have his time in court so that the judge can determine if it's going to be extended or if they're going to drop it. And guess what? If you go into the courtrooms kicking, screaming, yelling, you can't present a case like that. So try to be calm. Take someone with you. So we go to court with these women. So I want to make sure that you're calm, that you are able to articulate your story so that you can get the help that you need. Because again, I'm going to go back and then you'll hear me all through this power and control.
Mhm. So you
And
have to
so
try to take some of that back.
you have to take it back. And when we are in a relationship, I don't think any of us want to believe or even think about our abuser will hurt or harm us. So guess what? They know how to push every button, right? And so we have to keep all of that in mind. And I think once women get past this is what's happening in their lives, and they're going to have to fight to get back on track, to transition out of that relationship, then all these things that I'm saying tonight is very, very, very important. And so if we're going to talk about a number of things, but do not allow the abuser to put you in a situation that you are causing more harm than good.
And a couple things that you said there. One, you said a safety plan.
Mhm.
What does that look like?
So a safety plan is that before, and it's would be helpful to the shelters, it's helpful to the advocates. A safety plan is formulating a plan, because sometimes when women are just fed up,
Mhm.
they leave and they don't have a plan. And if the
Okay.
shelter is full, if if there's no financial resources, those are some of the things that will help to determine them going back into the relationship. So imagine if we were able to formulate a safety plan, and that's the documentation, that's putting some your important papers in someone's hand,
Mhm.
that is making a plan that I'm going to leave on this day at this time while he's at work.
Got you.
Those
Got
things
you.
are very, very, very important. And so, as a community member, as a friend, domestic violence is all of our business.
Yes, it is.
And it's important for all of us to take part in it, not judge, not think, well, I wouldn't go through that. Why doesn't she just leave? Well, if you don't have the resources, it's very difficult. Or you have to make the decision to go back based on your situation. And if you don't have the resources available, and I had a lady to call me yesterday with 8 children.
Mm.
And so when you call with 8 children, uh, lack of shelter space is the primary problem. So another thing that I do, I encourage women when we talk about putting them in a hotel. If we were able to work on a plan to get them somewhere stable, that would be good. But 2, 3 nights in a hotel, and then what happens
Then
after
what?
that? That's
Hmm.
reality, and we don't talk about that because I know I get a lot of calls from community members, and they may meet somebody, and they say, "Oh, well, what am I supposed to do?" This is why you listen to programs like these to
Hmm.
educate yourself. Maybe consider talking to them enough to allow them to stay at your home. Sometimes, even if we know that they have a family member, I may call and say, "Hey, can I help pay the gas bill for a couple of months?" To give us more time to help them transition out of the relationship. So those are some of the things that we can all do to make a difference. One of the things that I would love to see happen again, back in the day, they had like kind of like an underground railroad. And,
Yeah,
and women would go and they would stay at these places, until they were able to formulate a plan. And so that's what I mean about a safety plan. But it's going to take help from the community in order for us to do that work, but it can be done. Like I said, the gas bill, the groceries, and all of those things help those people help the victim. Mhm.
that's good. That's real good. I know I was a biology teacher and I taught high school. So one of the things, because I've always felt that, it's not just about the academic book knowledge, but it also is just about life lessons when we have that captured audience, the students. So I would wait around February to talk about the body systems. And then I would incorporate the cardiovascular system and the heart, and I would incorporate that around Valentine's Day and talk about aspects of love. I had to, fit it all in the curriculum.
Put it in the
But,
curriculum.
so I would talk to my high school students about love and, what does that look like? And then I would particularly talk to the girls about making good decisions, especially if I had heard in the background that they were dating a much older person,
Mhm.
maybe somebody like I'm teaching ninth, 10th grade. If I hear your boyfriend is 25, 26, I'm going to try to squeeze that
Real
conversation
fast.
in real fast because I'm like, this is a system of control here. And it's like, if he gets you into the place where you're needing him, it's going to be harder to leave if you have to leave. So I would incorporate all that stuff into my high school lessons. I don't really we got a little more stringent on how we could teach, but when I was able to teach those body systems, I sure did put some life lessons in there. And in that, Drew was asking about what are some of the red flags, because I know when we start dating, we look at what the person could be instead of what the person actually is. And we
Mhm.
get all these fairy tales in our head of, Well, you saw some things, but maybe you kind of ignored them. So what was some of the red flags that people need to look at in those
So,
early stages?
yes. So we all know, and I call them our representative. When we meet someone, we have our best foot forward. We're going to say all the right things and we're going to be loving and caring that we're the best person for the job, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But when you find that this person wants to know your every move, that's one thing that I
Mm.
tell women all the time. That's controlling, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
also stalking.
Mm.
Like, oh, he just loved me. I can't be going out of his sight for 5 minutes and he's calling me on the phone or he's showing up where I am because guess what? He's got a tracker on my phone. So I mean, he really loves me. He really cares about my well-being and where I am.
And
If you
sometimes it's a regular tag now. It don't even have to be on your phone. They literally like drop it in your bag
Right,
and stuff and can track you. Yeah.
right. So all of those things with the technology as it is, another thing to a red flag and a warning sign is that they try to isolate you from your family and friends.
Yes.
It's another big one. Oh, they just jealous of you. They don't want to see you with me because I'm going to make things happen for you. I'm a mover and a shaker. So you really don't need them. But in essence, when the fun stops and
Mm-hmm.
you've isolated yourself from your family members and friends, who do you have to go to and talk to? Another red flag. Oh, you don't have to work. I'll take care of you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Financial abuse is 99% of all abusive relationships. Let me say that again. Financial abuse, 99% of all abusive relationships. And so when they're showing up at your job, that was one of the things that my dad did. My mom got a job at General Motors. And, so she's making, good money.
Mm-hmm.
And so he would go and he would take apart a loose on her car,
So she couldn't
right?
go to work.
So she couldn't go to work. And so I think my mom is my shero because she was so wise in thinking of things to do to make sure she was able to provide for us. And so there was a mechanic that lived next door. And she, one day, I heard her say to him, wow, I just got back from the grocers and my car was running well. And when I just got ready to go a minute ago, it would not start. I wonder what happened. And so you know how men, they'll protect us. So he opened the hood and he was like, I don't know how this little piece came loose, but she listened and she was able to get that. And it would puzzle my father like crazy because he didn't think about the man next door helping her. He was thinking about, well, I disabled the car. What happened?
Mm-hmm.
So all of those little, and they may be different. I've seen so many over the years. I've seen so many different things, but you're your own person, and anybody that tried to deviate from that to change you, you have to think about it. Yeah, it may be nice and it may be, like, wow,
It's cute at the beginning.
you at the beginning, he is really into me. And it very well could be that's true. But
Uh-huh.
if something does not feel right, we want this relationship to work so much. Sometimes we kind of take a blind eye. You've heard that saying
Yes.
before.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
just kind of look over it. And another tactic that the abusers would use is that, yeah, I know you're gonna leave me. People been leaving me my whole life.
Guilt
And
trip.
so went guilt trip. So women as nurturers, we hang in there and we try to help them, because that's not our intentions. That's
But
not
that's
what we
part of that
want to do.
manipulation.
But that's part of the manipulation and it's part of maintaining that power and control. They even sometimes will say they are going to commit suicide because if they can't have you, then there's no purpose of living.
Mm,
It's food for thought. But these are the things that's happening in these relationships that if you don't know the person, you would never believe these type things are going on. If you've ever had a coworker that was killed by domestic violence, and you was like, I didn't have a clue. And this is a big one for me.
mm-hmm.
The reason that you don't know, because we live in a judgmental society. And if I tell you what's really going on in my home, you're going to victim shame me. And you're going to make me feel like it's something that I'm doing wrong. And so that's another thing. And that's a red flag for the community. Stop doing that. It's
Okay.
it's not good. I know we don't understand, and I know just about everyone that's on this call have said, "I wouldn't put up with that. Why doesn't she just leave?" Well, I just told you a few things.
Yes.
Why?
Absolutely. Especially that 99%. I'm gonna remember
Ni-
that financial abuse.
99% financial abuse, and we
But I
hardly
mean,
ever talk about
I didn't know the percentage, but
it.
I
Mhm.
felt in my heart that that had to be one of the main reasons. And that was one of the reasons why I made it a point of whatever the curriculum was to incorporate that in our young girls.
Yes.
Because I feel like when, now I guess I'm to the point where I say when I grew up, but I feel like during that time we might have put a little more emphasis on it, violence and dating and things like that. And I don't really know if attention is being drawn to it. Like even with this month, how very few people are saying anything about domestic violence,
Right.
and so with our youth, um we used to talk about it more in school. Like I remember we had videos about it, and it was in health. Maybe it is taught still in health class. I don't know to the extent that it is, but I almost feel like there's an uptick in this current generation as they go on of more and more of this happening. And also in the court system, we see a lot of what we would consider victims that want their abuser off and will go to court because they're subpoenaed, but they won't testify against their abuser, like literally defend their abuser in court. So prosecutors aren't able to really do everything that they need to do. So how can we help that situation?
So starting to create a platform about healthy relationships.
Okay.
We see a lot of uh, glamour and all this on social media and on. I'm kind of feeling old when I get ready to say TV. They may call it something else now, but
No, I think it's but there's a lot of apps that people watch now instead of
yes,
just
yes,
regular
yes.
TV. Mhm.
And so it's imperative that we start at our children at an early age to talk about healthy relationships. What does that look like? Am I a good friend? You know? And so in the early stages, elementary school, because now These kids are so aggressive. They see so much that we were not even allowed
Yes.
to say. And I'm going all the way back when I was growing up and a child. We were not allowed to even say pregnant out loud.
Oh, wow.
And so, you think that'll kind of hold you back, but I am so thankful for the guidance and the moral fiber that our grandparents and our parents taught us. Yeah, I'm a little bit, that's why I had to say that about the TV, because I was like, is that one of those words? But now, uh everything is just so
We
open.
don't have to hide it from the
We don't
kids
have to
anymore.
hide anything. We don't Our sexuality, nothing. Everything is up in
Mhm.
the air. If you want to share it, then that's you. And that may be okay. But if we don't talk about healthy relationships, my concern is that I want young women to meet the man of their dreams, marry them, and have a beautiful life with their husband and their children. I, as moving into my senior years, I want to know that I have people with a loving, caring heart that's going to look out for me as a senior. And all
Yes.
of those things we have gotten so far away from. Everybody, well, not everybody, a lot of people they look out for themselves. And we have to start talking about healthy relationships,
Yeah,
being a good
even with my children, you know, my husband and I, we show them what will, we try to show them what healthy relationships are, because healthy relationship is not like you ain't getting along all the time.
right, right,
But it's like, are you able to discuss this, come to some agreement without like going below the belt? I don't know if John and I ever really had that conversation, but we don't do it. Like if we don't agree with one another, or even if we're upset with one another, we don't curse at each other. We don't curse in our house anyway, but we definitely don't curse at each other. We don't go below the belt. So we try to show our kids that you can have disagreements and talk it out and still love each other without, just going all the way there to the point of
exactly.
no return. So
Mhm.
they see that. And then, I'm sure when my husband have them and they're driving, they have their conversations. And when I'm with them, we have our conversations. And, so it starts from home. You
Mhm.
hope that, but I feel that we have to be, because our kids see so
Yeah.
much
Mhm.
that we have no control over everything they see. We have to start talking to them and picking their brains to make sure that what we're trying to show at home is what they're getting, because they're getting everything. Like we just look, TikTok got a mind of its own. You know
Oh
what I'm
my
saying? So
goodness.
yeah, so we have to talk. I think we have to talk more. And I think that has a lot to do with showing healthy relationships.
Yes. So, one of the things, for an example, is that we have some information about um, healthy relationships during stressful times.
Yes.
You know,
Hmm.
because if something is going on, the household is just not in order. You may have lost a job. Um, how do you manage a healthy relationship during that time? We have to be mindful. So, mindfulness, if we start talking about that, we will be able to take a step back,
Hmm.
reevaluate. We need to learn more about actually engaging in conflict resolution, because
Yep.
it's it's important.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think, with some of the reality TV, we've gotten away from what real conflict resolution is. When you see adults on TV, you know, fighting and things like that. And it's starting to seep into regular life, when that is just a show that people are doing for you to watch. It says it's reality, but some of it is being pushed that way and being scripted to go in that direction. So we, just trying to go back to how we were raised, that that's not real. Fighting and stuff and being violent is not really conflict resolution. So I think
Mhm.
um I think we're starting to incorporate that back into our school system and things like that. That will help because if you act this way with a stranger, you even more familiar with the people in your house, so you definitely don't want it to go to that level. But you've given some really good information. The power and control piece really has stuck with me, far as seeing seeing if they are seeing signs of them, like tracking or trying to isolate you from family and friends. And that financial abuse piece is really big. So now look, me, Miss Vita, I am going to take this to the next level. So when we talk about the police needing to have more awareness and more training, I'm taking this to Chief Roberts and like, hey, Chief.
I work with Chief Roberts and the Clayton County police officers, and they are awesome. And
Hmm.
so I'm sure Chief is going to do everything in his power
Okay.
to make that happen. But that's a conversation that I
We
know he's aware
all,
of,
as a
but we
community, need to
all
have.
as a community need to happen, because just think about it now. These officers also, on the flip side, when they go into these situations, they don't know if they're going to come back
Yep. So the
because
police officer that we had that passed, was it this year?
mhm,
This year it was a domestic violence call.
domestic violence, and it happens more than you think.
Mhm.
And we had a young lady last year that worked at the juvenile court, and she worked advocating for these children, uh, violent behaviors and everything every single day. And she was killed by her husband.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so
Know about that one.
yeah, it's all of our business, and we have to. So yeah, take it to another level. Tell Chief Roberts. He'll be glad to listen. And that's one of the things that I love about Chief Roberts. He's
Yes,
open. He's
he is.
open to listen, and we all can learn. You know, um
Yeah, because we need to learn more about their side also, and what they're thinking and what they're facing when they have to go
and
into
their
these
fears
situations.
when they have to go into a situation like that. So if
Yeah.
they try to de-escalate, it could be because they're fearful of what could happen.
Well, Miss Vita, I know that you have an organization, and with all our organizations, nonprofits, we need finances. And I know you are hosting a 5K. So if you want to tell people about it and how they can register and get involved and come out in their purple.
Yes, the event, it's our 12th annual Walk 'em Out in Her Shoes 5K walk run against domestic violence. This is a day to bring the community together, as well as survivors, people that have lost their loved ones because of domestic violence. It's a day of education, it's a day of awareness, it's a day of providing resources and information about the community and what we have right here in Clayton County and beyond. And it is a day that we want to bring the community together, because actually a lot of people don't like talking about domestic violence. And you know why? Because a lot of them are engaged in
Mm.
doing it themselves. So it is like a red flag. I don't want to talk about it because it may resurface and bring up. But the Walk 'em Out in Her Shoes is a day of unity. You can come out and meet me and my team and all the things that we do throughout the course of the year. Get some of those. brochures and information of how to help a friend, safety plan and warning signs, the whole works. And you
Wow.
can go on our website. It is 5K walk against domestic violence raceroster.com. It is going to be an awesome day. We're going to get together. We are going to pay
And what day
tribute.
is it going to be on?
It's Saturday, October 21st. So that's next Saturday. Registration will begin at 8 a.m. You can register. The deadline has passed to guarantee your t-shirt and swag bag. But we're going to have some more goodies. And it's for a good cause. This is our biggest fundraiser of the year. And so we encourage you to come. And then we're going to be doing unity in the community after the 5K this year. So I'm super excited about that. And so if Solicitor Brooks, DA Mosley, I want to say Chief Roberts, if not, he's going to have some representatives out there. Come out there, meet with them, talk with them about your feelings or thoughts that you may have. Like you said, you want to talk to him about the training for the police officers. I encourage that. So and if you go, it's walk a mile in her shoes. 5K. If you put that in, walk a mile in her shoes. 5K against domestic violence. You can put it, and I hope that it'll come up. I wish we had the opportunity to kind of put it across the screen.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, I'm gonna go back and put it in, so it'll be
okay,
there.
okay,
Mhm.
good.
I'll
So
put it in
I
the
will,
comments.
yes. So it's an opportunity that I would love to see 500 people out there because we've worked hard. We started with 30 people. And so we're over a little bit over 200 now. So it's growing. We're getting the word out and we're not going to stop. Because again, everybody knows someone that's in an abusive relationship. And if you are in an abusive relationship, know that you're not alone.
Mhm.
Know that help is available. Know that Sisters Empowerment Network is committed to doing what we can to combat this horrible epidemic. And so we want to embrace the loving, caring community that I know we can all live in peace and harmony.
Absolutely. And Nancy wanted to know, other than the 5K, how can we as a community help Sisters Empowerment Network?
By attending the workshops, the events that we do throughout the year, telling people, please, we would love if you would just send us a contribution. We have we have an awesome simulation. It's called Shoots and Ladders: Barriers to Leaving Abusive Relationship. And I
Oh, okay.
guarantee you, if you attend that simulation, it would change your mind about domestic violence and asking the question, why doesn't she just leave? I guarantee you that question would go away. And then
We're
also
definitely going to we're going to put that together as a community event. Definitely want to do that.
definitely do it. I would be, but and then also for the salon and barber shops, we do cut
Mm,
it out. The beauty community against domestic violence. It is awesome. We learn a lot of things because when you sit in your barber or your salon chairs, there's a lot of conversations going on. And so, what better way? We feel like if we train them on what to talk about and the warning signs that we talked about, red flags, then they'll be able to, at best, direct them to the services needed to help them
awesome.
get out. And the National Domestic Violence Hotline, I encourage everybody to remember this hotline number. It's 1-800-799-SAFE. So 1-800-799-SAFE, and that's 7233. We also have, it's 24 hours a day, and you can call and get the information needed. Now, the Georgia have a hotline too, but unfortunately, I don't have that number in front of me. But
I
look
think
up.
when I posted this national hotline number.
Uh-huh. So the Georgia Domestic Violence Hotline also have a number, but please, please, please. I know Miss Nancy is all over the community, so
Yes.
she could really be instrumental in helping us get the word out. That I'm going to say, because it's October and Halloween, domestic violence is very scary. But
Oh,
together as a community, we can really make a difference and an impact. But it's going to take each one of us to be involved. We need men to not be bystanders. We're
mm,
working on starting a campaign with that at Clayton State. So be on the lookout for that. We want men to stop being bystanders. And so if they have some friends that are abusers, we want them to tell them that that's not tolerated in our community. And we do not abuse. Real men don't hit women. And so be on the lookout for that campaign. You can also, our Women Supporting Women Self Help group, uh, the next group, get on, just they help having a conversation like we're doing right now. You'll never know how it will impact someone else, you know. So that's just some of the things. And also go on our website and join our mailing list, and that way you'll have access to everything that we're doing.
absolutely. And afterwards, I will post all of those things. Me and you're gonna sit down and put all the put all the links together and post it. And Drew said you can count on him. Real
Good,
men
Drew.
don't abuse.
That's right. Thank you, Drew. I am looking forward to you helping me with that campaign because it is important. And so we're going to be talking with Mr. Brandon Mitchell out at Clayton State University. And I'm also working with a few young people over at the AU Center. So February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness. I would love if we are going to do a formal tea to introduce a safe space for
Oh,
teens to
nice.
come and talk and connect and know that we can call you Miss Funny if they need someone to talk to,
Absolutely.
and you'll be there for. So those are some of the things that we have coming soon. So be on the lookout. And like I said, please, 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 you can go on our website and make a contribution, www.sistersempowerment.org. And we would love to hear from you. We're starting a blog as well. So we have a lot of things that's coming up.
That is wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for your time tonight. If you had one last nugget that you want to leave with someone who may be watching and is one of those ones that's in the situation, but doesn't feel ashamed or afraid to tell anyone, what would be that one nugget that you would have for them?
You are not alone. Help is available. And Sisters Empowerment Network would love to talk to you to help you on your road to recovery. Our phone number is 770-909-0376. Call us. You're not alone, and you do not deserve to be abused.
Well, thank you so much, Miss Vita Brown, for being on with me tonight. And you have a fabulous evening.
Thank you so much for having me. I look forward to seeing you guys at the 5K next Saturday.
That's right. I know Miss D Haney gonna be there because she's one running lady.
Well, thank you all so much. This was really awesome.
Thank
Great
you.
job. Mhm.
So, everyone, thank you so much for joining me tonight. If you know me, you know that I do not shy away from the tough conversations. Sometimes we have to have them. That's the only way we're going to get better. So, as we go through this month, just remember that it is also Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And we want to be there for anyone that is going through that. And as Ms. Vita said, you're not alone and you have support out there, and we are going to be, our community is going to be that judgment free zone for you. So as we say, it'll be a soft place for you to land. So if anyone needs assistance, I will put those phone numbers and links into the comments. um, and I want everyone to enjoy the rest of your evening. And I will see you back here next Wednesday. And I am Atanya Jean Funny, your audacious advocate and candidate for Commissioner District 3 in the beautiful Clayton County. And I want you all to have a wonderful evening. Good night.